So if you've been following the channel for a while, then you know that I recently completed the Capital One Duo, which typically consists of the Capital One Venture X credit card and the Capital One Saver One credit card. And if you're like me, you're probably wondering how exactly to utilize all of the points that you've earned with the Capital One Venture X credit card so that you can utilize them properly and get the most value out of them. Luckily for you, I've spent the last couple of weeks painstakingly researching every possible way that you can utilize your Capital One miles and compiled all of it into this one single video. Along the way, I've also added tips and tricks that you might not have known about the Capital One Duo. For instance, did you know that even though the Capital One Saver One credit card is marketed as a cashback credit card, you can transfer the cashback you've earned on the card into Capital One miles if you have a venture credit card for the possibility to get even better redemption value. Anyways, let's begin this video and talk about how exactly to redeem your Capital One miles for maximum value. Starting with redemption option number 1, Cashback. If you want to follow along and view all of the different options yourself, make sure to log on to your Capital One account, click on the View Reward button, and you'll be greeted with 8 different redemption options. Click on the Redeem for Cash tile and you'll be caught up to where exactly I am in this video. For this option, you are presented with 2 different choices: credit this card and mail a check to my address. For simplicity's sake, we're going to be going with the credit this card option, but both are the same option, essentially with one mailing you a physical check while the other doesn't. Moving forward, I am shown that my 361,813 points is equal to $1,809.07. Adjusting the numbers to make it a little more simpler to view, my 360,000 points are equal to about $1,800 in value, which when doing the math means that the redemption value for cashback is about a 0.5 cent per point ratio, which definitely isn't bad by any means, but there are definitely better redemption possibilities with Capital One. I do also want to point out that if you have the Capital One Venture or Venture X credit card, one can argue that the cashback value is actually at a 1 cent per point ratio because there is a 2x multiplier on everything for both of these cards, which in turn makes them fantastic catch-all credit cards. Next, redemption option number 2, and that's gift cards. After clicking on the box, you are greeted with what seems like an ocean worth of different credit card options. You got places like Adidas, Amazon, Airbnb, Apple, McDonald's, and much more. If you're wondering whether or not all of these gift card redemption options are the same, don't worry, I make sure to check out every single one of them, and I can confidently tell you that they are at the same redemption value, so you don't need to worry about that. That value being 0.8 cents per point, or for every $25 that you redeem, you're going to be needing 3,125 Capital One miles. The redeemable increments are $25, $50, $100, and $200 only. So a little less flexible than the cashback option that we just talked about earlier, but the value is a lot higher, so we're definitely going to have to acknowledge that. Still though, 0.8 cents per point isn't a threshold that I am comfortable with redeeming my Capital One miles with, especially since almost all cashback credit cards at least redeem at a 1 cent per point ratio. So with that in mind, we're going to be tagging this with a poor redemption option for this redemption option, and we're going to be trucking on ahead and seeing if there's better redemption options with Capital One. Spoiler alert, there definitely are. On to redemption number 3, and that's experiences. For this tile, you're linked to Capital One's experiences webpage, where it allows you to redeem your Capital One miles for, well, experiences, such as concerts for artists like Drake, Billy Joel, or Metallica, or sports events like the US Open, football, or when the season starts, basketball, or comedy or theater events like Dave Chappelle, Bert Kreischer, or Hamilton. And if you're wondering whether or not different events have different redemption values, don't worry, I made sure to check mostly all of the events on the website right now, and I can confidently tell you that all of them have the same redemption value, and that redemption value being 0.8 cents per point. But the reason as to why I put this redemption option slightly higher than the redeeming for gift cards option is because Capital One does offer cardholder exclusive events, which from my interpretation means that you're not technically competing with everyone else, similar to how the Taylor Swift fiasco happened, but rather you're only competing with those that have Capital One credit cards. And I don't know about you, but for me, I feel that that's a little bit more exclusive. But still, 0.8 cents per point isn't cutting it. We're going to be moving on to redemption option number 4, and that's Amazon. Everyone and their mothers love Amazon.com. I personally love shopping on Amazon.com because of its unbeatable prices, as well as the ease of being able to find everything within a matter of seconds. Also, considering most of the things that I need to run this YouTube channel can be found on Amazon.com, it's great to know that I can use my Capital One miles to redeem some of the things that I bought. Using Capital One miles on Amazon.com is pretty simple. Click on the Amazon redemption tile, link your credit card to your Amazon account, and that's about it. The redemption value for your miles seems to be about 125 points per $1 that you spend on Amazon.com, which when doing the math has a redemption value of 0.8 cents per point. I feel like we're starting to see a bit of a pattern here. Hopefully the next 4 redemption options give us a little more value than the last 4, because Capital One needs it. Redemption option number 5 is PayPal. Judging by the landing page, I'm going to say that it's pretty similar to how you link your Capital One card to your Amazon account. But for this option, I'm not going to be personally linking my card to my PayPal account because, well, I don't want to. But luckily for us, PayPal does give us an example of our redemption options, which shows that for every $50, you'll be redeeming 6,250 Capital One miles, which again, doing the math again, 0.8 cents per point. Again, not the best redemption value out there compared to other redemption options within the credit card world. I can, however, see it being useful if you're seriously in a pinch and need to redeem your points for cash in some type of way. But moving on, we're going to be moving on to redemption option number 6, and that's covering travel purchases. Luckily for you, I did actually have a recent trip that I took on June 30th of this year, which I'm actually kind of confused by, as today's date is September 13th, 2023 at the time of recording this video, which means that somehow I'm able to pay for trips that I've technically already paid for in the past. But as confusing as that is, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to see the redemption value. So for this purchase on CapitalOneTravel.com, I spent $137.06, and Capital One is telling me that all I need to spend is 13,706 miles in order to cover this purchase. Putting in the quick math here, I am happy to announce that we finally found a first optimal redemption option at 1 cent per point valuation. But we have 2 other redemption options to go through, and spoiler alert, they only get better than this, so let's see what they are. Redemption option number 7 is booking a trip with your Capital One miles. For this one, I'm actually going to be showing you a live demonstration of this in action. Clicking on the tile, we're greeted with Capital One's travel portal. On here, we can either book a flight, a hotel room, rent a car, or book a premier hotel room with Capital One's premier hotel collection. For simplicity's sake, we're only going to be showcasing the flights option, but rest assured that I analyzed all 4 methods to confidently tell you that the redemption value for all of them are the exact same. For our hypothetical, I'm going to be booking a flight from Washington DC to Boston for a 2-night stay in October. What I personally love about Capital One's travel portal when comparing it to other credit card lenders' travel portals is the simplicity and friendliness of the webpage. At the top, since the portal is collaborating with Hopper, you get different color schemes for when prices are cheaper versus when prices are more expensive. Additionally, you also get this meter that scales from great prices to wait, which indicates whether or not you should buy your ticket now or later. Additionally, the text above it states that if the price drops within 10 days of when you booked your ticket, you'll be eligible to get it back up to $50 of the difference in travel credit with free price drop protection. You also have the option to freeze the price just in case prices do increase, and the option to ask Capital One to watch this particular flight for you and send you notifications about when or if prices change. And if you compare these prices to what you see on other budget websites and Google Flights, you can see that most, if not all, flights are exactly the same in terms of prices, if not a smidge cheaper, which is not something I can unfortunately say about Chase's travel portal. And swinging back to the point of this video, if you're a bit tight on money, the travel portal does allow you to redeem tickets with Capital One miles. For instance, this flight with JetBlue that's priced in at $104 or redeemable for 10,380 miles, given a reasonable redemption value of about 1 cent per point. So again, similar to the previous redemption option of covering your travel that you've made in the past. It's great to know that you can either pay for your trip in advance with Capital One miles or do it after the trip is done. Definitely helps just in case that there is an emergency and for whatever reason you need to redeem your Capital One miles instead. And finally, redemption option number 8, redeeming your points through one of Capital One's transfer partners. Now, if you've been watching the entirety of this video, you probably noticed a theme here. We've went from the worst redemption options to the best redemption options, and since this is the last redemption option, this has to be the best, right? Well, buckle up, sit tight, and let me show you the world of transfer partners. First, we have to explain exactly what transfer partners are. For those of you that don't know, each credit card lender has a list of airline and hotel partners that they work with to potentially give you some amazing redemption value potential. For American Express, there's 20 total transfer partners. For Chase, there's 14 total transfer partners. And for Capital One, there's 18 total transfer partners. Now, every transfer partner is not equal. Some will give you amazing redemption options, while others will give you pretty crappy ones. But that's definitely something that we can talk about in another video. But for this video, I'll be breaking down some of the best redemption options that Capital One's transfer partners have, starting with domestic travel. And for this example, I'm going to be showing you step by step as to how I track and find these amazing redemption options. The first thing I want to do is go over to awardhacker.com. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is something that every seasoned veteran with credit card points uses. But before we go any further, I have to take a brief moment and talk about exactly what airline alliances are. There are 3 big airline alliances across the world. You have Star Alliance, which currently holds 26 members, oneworld, which currently holds 13 members, and SkyTeam, which currently holds 19 members. There's a lot to explain exactly what airline alliances are, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to be thinking of them as partnerships, allowing us, the consumer, to potentially capitalize on some pretty unique redemption options if you know where to find them. Going back to awardhacker.com, we can search up hypothetically a flight between JFK, New York to Seattle, SEA. What comes up is a bunch of reward availability from an assortment of airlines. On the left, these images are the award availability that you'll be utilizing to redeem your points with. The numbers are how many points you're expected to use for this trip. On the right is what airline company you'll be expecting to fly with, and on the far right is which credit card lender points and miles you'll be able to use for these redemptions. Notice how under the operated by columns, some specifically say which airlines, while others say Star Alliance, SkyTeam, or oneworld. That basically means that although you're redeeming your points with a specific airline company, your flight has the potential to be operated by any of the members within that specific alliance. This in turn helps you utilize your Capital One miles to potentially fly with another airline company that you originally wouldn't have been able to book because they weren't a transfer partner with Capital One. Going back to my example, it shows here that Cathay Pacific offers reward availability for 20,000 points. Other Capital One specific redemption include Singapore KrisFlyer, Air Canada, and Avianca. But for this example, we're going to be showcasing Cathay Pacific. Once you've figured out exactly how many points you'll probably use, you can swing over to Cathay Pacific and follow these exact same steps. First, you'll want to go over to Cathay Pacific to make sure that what we're seeing on awardhacker.com is accurate for the days that you are planning to travel. Then you'll want to hop back over to CapitalOne.com and log into your account and click on the Convert Rewards tile. Then you'll want to select a transfer partner that you want to move your points to. For this example, we'll be moving our points to Cathay Pacific. Oh, and before I do that, I do want to mention another tip and trick that I've learned along the way. I think it's number 4 now, but occasionally there will be promotions for some specific transfer partners, meaning that sometimes there are opportunities to transfer your Capital One miles to a specific transfer partner at a discount to 20%, 30%, or even sometimes 40% discount. So if you're someone who loves to plan ahead and also know which specific airline company that you're going to be probably flying with in the future, this is a great way to reduce the amount of Capital One miles you need for a redemption and gain even better maximum redemption value. Alright, so once you've moved your Capital One miles to Cathay Pacific, you'll want to go through the same process of booking the flight in the same way as you would with any other flight that you've ever booked in the past. And if you notice these little combination of letters and numbers, they actually show that this flight will be operated by Alaska Airlines and not Cathay Pacific, even though Alaska Airlines isn't technically a transfer partner with Capital One, because Cathay Pacific and Alaska Airlines have a partnership together. Now, I'm going to admit that there's one thing wrong with Capital One's transfer partner network. For domestic flights, meaning flights within the United States, they're not really that good. Tons of people have mentioned that Capital One's transfer partner list is more suited for international travel, and I can definitely see why. And for that reason, let's move over and showcase some international travel. For this last section of the video, I'll be showcasing both flights from the United States to Europe and the United States to Asia. I am going to also be skipping over this step by step as it's pretty much the same process as booking with domestic travel. Going back to awardhacker.com, typing in JFK to Paris, we get 3 different options, and it's actually 4 different options if you include Virgin Atlantic. Although not a direct transfer partner with Capital One, Virgin Red is, which you can then link to your Virgin Atlantic account. And after doing some research, here are all 4 options. Here's both Virgin Atlantic Economy, Business Class, Cathay Pacific Business Class, Air France Economy and Business Class. You definitely see a pattern here. The better the airline seat, the better the redemption value is. Next, JFK to Japan. Going back to awardhacker.com, typing in JFK to Japan, we're also getting a bunch of different options. Here's Virgin Atlantic, here's Cathay Pacific, here's Air France, here's British Airways, and Air Canada. Notice how for this flight at 50,000 points, it's a flight that's operated on All Nippon Airways instead of Air Canada. Even though Capital One isn't technically a transfer partner with ANA, they are with Air Canada. Since they are with Air Canada, you'll get to sometimes be able to see award availability for ANA flown flights due to the fact that Air Canada and ANA being in the same airline alliance. Now that's definitely a seat that I'd grab since ANA is one of the best airline companies out there. Alright, that just about wraps up this video. As you can tell, there are a ton of ways to redeem your Capital One miles. Thank you all so much for watching as always, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and also make sure to hit that like button to help with the YouTube algorithm. I'm currently working on another video with a similar topic. Here's a little hint of just what that video might be about, and with that, stay safe out there everybody. Peace. Those of you out there that are new to the channel, hi, my name is Eric. I generally talk about everything credit card related, but more recently I've been making videos on broader financial topics such as these videos right here. The main goal for this channel is to provide informational and meaningful financial related content that everybody everywhere can enjoy. So again, if you'd like to support that dream, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that, thank you for watching as always. Until next time everybody, stay safe out there. Peace.